How Irma Grese went from being a troubled teen to becoming one of the most sadistic guards to ever work inside a Nazi concentration camp. From the deranged Dr. Josef Mengele to the cruel propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels, the names of Adolf Hitler's Nazi henchmen and henchwomen have become synonymous with evil. Of all the savage figures to emerge from Nazi Germany, one of the most beastly is that of Irma Grese. Labeled the most notorious of the female Nazi war criminals by the Jewish Virtual Library, Irma Grese committed crimes that were especially brutal even among her Nazi compatriots. Born October 7, 1923, in Rechen, Germany, Irma Grese was the third of 5 children. One of Grese's sisters, Helene, testified that Grese was badly bullied in school and lacked the courage to stand up for herself. Unable to tolerate the torment, Grese dropped out in elementary school. In 1938, I left the elementary school and worked for 6 months on agricultural jobs at a farm, after which I worked in a shop in Lukin for 6 months, Grese testified at her trial. Then, when Grese was only 13, her mother committed suicide upon discovering that her husband was cheating on her with a local pub owner's daughter. 2 years later, Grese got a job at a hospital in Hohenlohe. According to her, she wanted to get a job as a nurse, but due to her lack of education, she was rejected and forced to return back to farming to make a living. Like many Germans in the 1930s and 1940s, Grese was bewitched by Hitler, and at 19, the dropout found her self-employment as a guard at the Ravensbrück concentration camp for female prisoners. In July 1942, I tried again to become a nurse, but the labor exchange sent me to Ravensbrück concentration camp. Although I protested against it, Grese testified at her trial. Despite her reported hesitation to work at a concentration camp, she thrived in that environment, ultimately becoming one of the most malicious guards in Holocaust history. In March 1943, Grese was transferred to Auschwitz, the biggest and most infamous of the Nazi death camps. A loyal, dedicated, and obedient Nazi member, Grese then rapidly ascended to the rank of senior SS supervisor, the second highest rank that could be bestowed upon females in the SS. In March 1945, she was transferred to Bergen-Belsen. As part of her supervisor role, Grese oversaw 18,000 female prisoners at Auschwitz. With so much authority, Irma Grese could unleash a torrent of lethal sadism upon her prisoners. Admittedly, it is hard to verify the details of Grese abuses. Even Grese's sister admitted that she shared very little about her role in the camps. She told us she was supervising the prisoners working inside the compound, and she had to see that they were doing their work well and that they did not escape. We asked her, "What do the prisoners get for food, and why have they been sent to a concentration camp?" And she answered that she was not allowed to talk to the prisoners and did not know what sort of food they got. Scholars like Wendy Lower also point out that a lot what has been written about female Nazis is clouded by sexism and stereotypes. However, testimonies from concentration camp survivors lead many to believe that Grese deserved her nickname, the Hyena of Auschwitz. In her memoir 5 Chimneys, Auschwitz survivor Olga Lengyel writes that Grese had many affairs with other Nazis, including Mengele. When it came time to select women for the gas chamber, Lengyel noted that Irma Grese would purposely pick out the beautiful female prisoners due to jealousy and spite. According to Professor Wendy A. Sardi's research, Grese had a sick fondness for striking women on their breasts and for forcing Jewish girls to be her lookout as she assaulted inmates. As if this wasn't enough, Sardi reports that Grese would sick her dog on prisoners, whip them constantly, and kick them with her hobnailed jackboots until there was blood. I have seen Grese beat prisoners in Auschwitz, and about a fortnight before the British troops liberated Belsen, I saw her beat a girl in the camp. She had a pistol, but she was using a riding crop. The beatings were very severe. Polish concentration camp survivor Daniel Safran stated during Grese's trial. In the same testimony, witnesses claimed to have seen her shoot 2 girls who tried to run away during a physical examination. In Camp A, Block 9, Blockhaltist Ria and Hostler and Dr. Enna, the prison doctor, made a selection for the gas chamber, and 2 selected girls jumped out of the window and Grese approached them as they were lying on the ground and shot them twice. Ilona Stein, a Hungarian concentration camp survivor, testified. Shockingly, the Jewish Virtual Library wrote that Grese even had lampshades made from the skin of 3 dead prisoners. But as the Allies loosened the Nazis' stranglehold on Europe, Grese went from destroying people's lives to trying to save her own. On April 17, 1945, the British arrested Grese at Bergen-Belsen, and, along with 45 other Nazis, Grese found herself accused of war crimes. Between September 17th and November 17th, Grese testified at her trial and pleaded not guilty, but the testimony of witnesses and survivors of Grese mania got her convicted and sentenced to death. She was one of 3 female guards sentenced to death. Despite her appeals, Grese's sentence was upheld. According to Professor Sardi, Grese was heard singing Nazi songs on the morning of her execution, on December 13, 1945. Albert Pierre Point, the executioner, described the event. "I walked into the corridor. 'Irma Grese,' I called. The German guards quickly closed all grills on 12 of the inspection holes and opened one door. Irma Grese stepped out. 'Follow me,' I said in English, and British Army Regimental Sergeant Major Richard Anthony O'Neill repeated the order in German. At 9:34 a.m., she walked into the execution chamber, gazed for a moment at the officials standing round it, then walked on to the center of the trap, where I had made a chalk mark. She stood on this mark very firmly, and as I placed the white cap over her head, she said in her languid voice, 'Schnell, quickly.' The drop crashed down, and the doctor followed me into the pit and pronounced her dead. At just 22 years old, Grese has the distinction of being the youngest woman hanged under British law during the 20th century. Today, she is buried at Zum Friedhof Well in Hameln, Germany, and will forever be remembered as the one of the most brutal guards in Holocaust history. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos.